So if the, council, how's that gonna work if we have that item on the ballot for the terms of service?
I'm sorry?
If we put that item on the ballot for terms of service changing, and then, how's that gonna work if the,
Are you talking about the terms?
for this election, and then,
How's it gonna be on the ballot?
yeah, and then for those that are two-year term versus a three-year term, I mean, I don't know if that's gonna enter into play with this agreement.
No, with the ballot, you'll have your general election at the top, naming, listing, everyone that's opposed. And then at the bottom, just like in 2016, you'll have a continuation with the special election with the amendments. So depending on how many amendments.
So we're not gonna have to have an extra.
No, again, last time we had to have 2 pages stapled because there was 39 amendments. So just depending, if it's just gonna be this one that y'all approved tonight, then it would just be 1 ballot page.
Council, I forgot to mention again, just one other thing. On any amendments, I know the mayor is after, wanted to see this, but any other amendments, I did give you guys have a handout of this. I know it's a big read, but it's 134 pages. It's from, Texas Home Rule Charters. And these are things that you may wanna change. We explained this to the Charter Review Committee, I've sent things to the council. If you want a narrative, a short, if you could look at page 9 through, I believe through 17. This, what I gave you all, I think, when did you get it? It's been about a couple
Before the
weeks.
January.
This pretty succinct as to what you can consider to make changes to the charter. I won't get into details, but if you look at it, it's basically gives you the subject area, the applicable state law, and the charter may provide, saying I use the word may, this uses the word may provide, things that you can make changes to. So Mayor, and you'll see what one of the changes he likes, it's in, he wants to change term limits, whatever. Those are things that you may want to consider. There's other things that I think they do a really good job. This read is a pretty good explanation as to some of the things you can look at. I know it's a read, but it's worth reading if you get a chance.
So do we need to involve a committee, a commission to review the charter or not?
Will you, to answer your question, no. You have one,
Okay.
but it's one of 3 ways to go about amending the charter. Charter amendments can always be proposed directly from council. And according to your charter, it helps because it bypasses the publication requirement that the commission has that you don't. What I'll keep in mind is we have less than a month for you to order the special measure election to include, and all of our work has to be done prior to that time. That is, we have to have the measures, the explanation, and the ballot language. The propositions have to be in a way that you approve, that is ballot ready. So all of that has to occur inside of a month, preferably within 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
The deadline to call is February 18th. That's the same deadline to file an application to be placed on the ballot, 5 p.m. That is a Friday.
Right, it's a Friday.
Correct.
So we have to push that back a little bit. If we only have one measure to consider, we'll be in good shape. If it's more than that,
And I think last time the charter was reviewed, it is in our charter, isn't it, that we're gonna be using a commission?
Every 5 years.
that what?
Is it not in our charter that we will use a commission to review the charter every 5 years?
You're required to do so every 5 years after the election. You appoint a commission, their terms are 6 months, and then they report back to you. That's the minimum requirement that your charter
Right.
imposes.
But does our charter read that we are to use a commission to review the charter?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, but that does not preclude at any time the council's ability to review its charter and suggest
Right.
amendments. But the commission, it does require that the commission do it at least once every 5 years.
So there might be a meeting then to review the charter soon?
Another one, yes.
Yes, we're gonna have one, and
Thursday.
again, the council is always welcome to the charter, I would say with the charter review committee meetings, we've tried to to try.
We had a meeting, but didn't have a quorum.
But the challenge is on our end is getting the charter review to convene and then making sure they understand what it is that they're doing at the meeting. I thought this was really good, an explanation. Keep in mind that our charter was initially adopted in 1995, our city charter that was so it's not really old, I don't think it is compared to other communities, but you did approve that tonight.
Thank you. Okay, all right, very good, thank you guys. Now, discussion regarding conditional use permits, and I turn this over to the city manager.
They did approve that, did y'all approve that item? Is that what
What?
Crystal?
I did.
Yeah, there was a motion. And
Yeah, we approved it.
Did you get
I
that?
was caught in the conversation. I did not get
Okay,
to
I
my part.
believe, James, you made the motion, and Sonia, you seconded it. With that on item number.
Yeah, we had already voted. We-
9L, yeah.
At the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
Unanimous.
Yeah, right. President? Yeah, okay. Okay, moving on to 9M, conditional use permit, city manager.
Yes, Mayor, Council, part of what this discussion is I think the council brought up, some time in the past, and we're trying to address it. What we found and what part of the confusion on our end is the conditional use permit process. I think it's described in 2 sections of the Code of Ordinances. So section 48 describes the process and it references, help me out here, Crystal, 30-day publication, approval procedures. There's a 30-day publication there on page 75. 1D that references a 30-page publication. Then, if you look back at chapter 26, 23, it references, I think, a 15-day publication. I want to,
6C,
6C, yes. It references, yeah,
page 79.
page 79. Yes, top of page 79, it references a 15-day publication. Part of the, and as the council sees, we've been getting more and more of these conditional use permit requests, but these are the 2 regulations that were approved. Normally, there's a repeater clause, correct me if I'm wrong, to basically, one, depending on what the older one that was approved, that's the one that we usually use as far as guidelines, right? For our conditional use permit process. So I guess in speaking to the council, our understanding, and this is where we want to go with this, is making sure that we use a 15-day in the process that's under chapter 26. Is that right? So that's what we're looking at. I would ask on the council, and I know that this is a, we're still waiting on this, but as we approve the comprehensive plan, which my hope is to address these things, getting your zoning regulations, subdivision regulations, that we really look at this. We can make whatever changes the council would like now, but this is I think it's gonna be a continuation of just conditional use permit processes that we keep getting into. So as we start looking at the different ordinances and revising them, that we look at making significant revisions to whether it's chapter 26 or this other chapter that I'm referring to. But that's, if you want to make any minor, any modification now, you're welcome to do that under either one of the chapters, 48 or 26.
Okay, council, that, just to bring that to your attention, the inconsistency that will get taken care of. Bring that one. Now, moving on, item 9N, discuss and possible action regarding a request for an established agreement between ICE and Pearsall Detention Center and the PD. This is an action item. I'm gonna have a motion to approve. Ask for it, please. There's a motion by Councilman Leal. There's a second by Councilman Hernandez. At this point, we'll call for questions. At first, I'm gonna ask the chief to come to the podium.
This is just an agreement between y'all and the detention center, right?
Yes, sir. The only difference is it's never come to city council. We believe through our city attorney, you all should be aware of these type of agreements. Basically, if there's a disaster or somebody breaks out from the jail, we're supposed to help each other out as best we can.
Any
Anything wrong with that, Bobby?
No,
Legal-wise?
and Chief indicated, my position has always been and will always be that no agreement is binding unless council either approves it directly or gives, designates the mayor or city manager with the authority to approve. You have to know what agreements exist, but primarily is that from a legal perspective, an employee cannot bind the city, only the council can. From time to time, these agreements are proposed to the PD, and they always have the chief's signature. So the agencies a lot of times want the chiefs to just sign off on it and say, we're good. But if the chief decides to provide assistance, there has to be an allocation of resources. So money, equipment, tools, vehicles, personnel, obviously, all of that needs to be allocated in these situations. And that has to be a part not only of the budget, but the approval process. So that's why when it came up, we certainly did say, council needs to go and do that. Now, the good thing about this particular agreement is it gives the chief, and by extension the city, complete discretion as to whether to provide the assistance at all times. So it's always going to be chief's call, in my opinion, in consultation with the city manager, as to whether to provide assistance. Because when they're asking for help, they're asking for, this agreement's not as, doesn't ask for as much as the other one.
Yes, and that's one of the things, I had a meeting with ICE. I've seen other agreements that you all weren't aware of, and it's 2-3 pages long, and I wasn't about to agree to that. I can provide services such as this if I'm able to. If not, we're not bound to it.
Other agreements were actually requiring
Canine searches for us to go investigate things inside the jail. I'm not
yeah,
gonna, we don't have the resources for that.
yeah, the deployment of his personnel inside the facility where they might engage and at a minimum put your insurance at risk and so on and so forth. This one doesn't do that at all, and it gives him complete discretion.
Thank you very much. There's a motion and a second. Another question, Councilman Hernandez?
I have a question.
Yes.
Would there ever be a situation in which you would need to assist in a larger capacity, and maybe city would have to require some type of reimbursements, financial reimbursements, Bobby?
It's not contemplated within the context of this agreement, but
Right.
and that's a good question, because the other agreement that I'm referring to actually would require an outlay without the expectation of reimbursement. So we'd want to look at those things carefully moving forward, because it's one thing, and that agreement was with GEO, not the government. Now granted, under the auspices of them having a government contract, but no, GEO's a private for-profit contractor. And their proposal was, you guys have to provide all this assistance to us, and you get nothing. So we would definitely want to look at that.
That was in place before. And my explanation to them, we'll give you whatever we can, as long as you keep it basic. And that's what we have here. Just the basics, if we can give it.
Thank you very much, Chief. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Okay, aye, motion passes unanimously. Okay, at this time, it is 7:36. We are going into executive session as per the chapter here, 551. And.
Oh.